Introduction. From the time we are born, many will be educated to be a version of themselves that please others. Whether it comes from the way you were raised or how you were taught in school, we often learn to put a mask on and be an actor in our life. Unfortunately, that behavior will not lead you to be happy and live a fulfilling life. You can discover the best version of yourself and transform your life so that you are no longer an actor in your life. Choose to live the life that was made for you. In this video, you will have to commit to exploring yourself, try to be aware of your behaviors, and be honest with yourself. This video is for you, and no one other than yourself can know who you are. With commitment, vulnerability, and curiosity, you will be able to be the best version of yourself and put away the mask that you've to wear for much too long. Are you ready to claim your power? Then let's start to explore your current life and see how much you are currently your true self. The power you have is to be the best version of yourself you can be so that you can create a better world. Ashley Rickards. Being yourself, the best version of yourself is being true to yourself, but what does this mean? It is sometimes easier to explain something by identifying what it isn't. That said, here's a list of what is not being the best version of yourself. Being true to yourself is not about pleasing others. Being true to yourself is not about hurting others. Being true to yourself is not about doing things you dislike. Being true to yourself is not about forcing yourself to do something. Being true to yourself is not about being hard on yourself. Being true to yourself is not about judging others and comparing yourself. Being true to yourself is not about being a victim of your surroundings. Being true to yourself is not about acting in a way that will attract more fans on social media. Being true to yourself means that you behave and communicate in complete integrity with your belief, values, and, most of all, with what feels right in your heart. When there is an alignment with your inner self, emotions, states, and desires, and outer self, behaviors, communication, and relationships, you are the best version of yourself. Assessing yourself. Have you ever felt like your behavior and the way that you held yourself varied depending on who is around you and where you are? We tend to play a different role when we are with individuals that we want to please or want to make sure that they like us. For example, you might behave in a completely different way if you are at work or with people you just met and want to be friends with them. We tend to be ourselves when we are at home or with childhood friends. That is when we let our guards down and become more vulnerable and less worried about how others might perceive us. Projecting yourself. Some of the questions in the previous chapter might not make sense to you. For example, we asked if you are the type of person that will say no to an offer to go out if you don't feel like hanging out with that person. If it is hard for you to say no to others and instead of saying no, you use white lies, which means that you are also able to tell yourself white lies. Being dishonest is one of the most common mistakes we make in life that keeps the best version of ourselves at bay. It takes a long time to realize that the external world is a projection of what is happening internally. Since the external world is a pure reflection of us, it can give us a lot of information about ourselves when we take the time to observe and be aware. For example, if you hate your job, it could be a sign that you technically don't recognize your skills and abilities. That you are unable to clearly see what you are capable of and therefore settle for jobs that you dislike. It's almost like you are creating your own misery. Take a moment to list some of the things that you dislike in your environment. That could be the way that your romantic partner treats you, the way that your family makes you feel about yourself or your professional life. Learning your triggers. Are there some subjects that you avoid discussing with others because you know you will be angry or frustrated? Do you sometimes find yourself easily offended by others? Learning your triggers will help you to move from being reactive to being at peace with what others think when it is different from your opinion. When we are triggered by something external to us, we tend to blame others for what we are experiencing. Blaming others for our state of mind and situation is living a victim mindset. The faster you can learn to stop reacting to others, the faster your mindset will shift to be more in alignment with your true self. First, you have to accept that the only things you can change in this world are your behavior, your mindset, and your communication style. As you probably know by now, you have no control over other people's behavior or mind. Make a decision now that you will no longer blame your problems on external factors. Second, learn to be aware of your behavior and thoughts, especially when you go in that space of blaming others or reacting to what they do or say. Start by making a list of what you feel trigger you. Some examples could be politics, injustice, self-centered people, incompetence, etc. Try to be as specific as possible by using an example to explain the trigger. Create boundaries. Boundaries are one of the most underused ways to be the best version of yourself. You must learn to say no. Saying no is probably one of the hardest things you'll ever have to do to ensure you are in integrity with yourself. Most people are not used to hear no or respect no. To learn to say no, you have to explore how you react to people who say no to you. Once you are open to others saying no to you, start practicing it yourself. Say no when you don't feel like doing something or when it doesn't feel right for you. Another aspect of creating boundaries is how you behave in your friendship circle. Be clear about individuals who are supportive and uplift you and stay away from those who only bring you down or feed drama. Surround yourself with people who appreciate you for who you truly are. Now is the perfect time to assess your friendships and set boundaries around those who do not fulfill you. Toxic relationships often feel a more deep-seated need to please others. If you are experiencing a relationship with a person who is mean to you or always makes you feel bad about yourself, knows that you are allowing this. It is okay for you to say no to that type of relationship. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, it could be with a friend or a coworker. To have healthy boundaries, you need to know what you value. If you value compassion, but you turn around and start criticizing and gossiping with a friend, you are not in integrity with yourself. Be clear about what you value and then match the behaviors to those values. That way, it will be easier to create boundaries and shift your behavior when it is not aligned with your values and beliefs. Once you are clear with your values, seek them in others, and surround yourself with people who have similar values to you. Once you can recognize how you feel about the relationship you currently have and are clear about your values, it will be much easier to assert yourself. For example, if you are with a group of friends and one suggests something you are uncomfortable about, you can assert yourself. Express how you feel and why you don't feel like participating in that idea. The more you will assert yourself, the better you will feel about yourself. Just be mindful that you are not judging or criticizing others when you assert yourself. Position your thoughts in a way that it's about what you feel and what you don't feel is aligned with your true self. But most of all, stop trying to please others because it is one of the most limiting behaviors you can have. When you please others, you completely forget your true self and allow others to dictate how you should behave, look, and even talk. This type of behavior is very destructive to the self, and it is pretty much acting yourself. You become an actor and live the life that others want you to live in. Once you learn to let go of pleasing others, you start living your own life. You no longer tailor your experience to the image of others but more to what you want and who you are. By doing so, the people around you will accept you for who you are, and if they don't accept you, they are not meant to be in your life. Creating boundaries means recognizing that sometimes you do things to please others, and that has to stop if it makes you feel bad about yourself. Pay attention to when you say yes, and deep down, you don't feel like doing something. Take the courage to stop trying to please others. For example, if somebody asks you to do something for them and you don't feel it's aligned with your needs, just say that it's not a good time for you. You can also say no. Doing what you want doesn't mean free for all, it means showing compassion toward what lies in your heart and do things that bring you joy, fulfillment, and drive. The more you will do things that bring you joy, the less you will need boundaries. You will surround yourself with people who appreciate you for who you are. You won't need to say no because it will be aligned with your true self. Once you start setting boundaries, you will notice your life changing, and you will find yourself experiencing more positive moments. A life with boundaries is the perfect environment to be yourself and live your best life. If you want to be the best version of yourself, you need to learn to say no and create boundaries. By distancing yourself from things that don't align with your authentic self, you are saying no to distraction and hindrance to living your best life. When you start respecting yourself, you put yourself as the priority. Many people believe it is selfish, meanwhile, when it is done for the right reasons, it serves a bigger purpose. It allows you to have the time, energy, and wellness to be your best self around others. It will enable you to be present for others and, in return, uplift them too. When you find the courage to create healthy boundaries in your life, you quickly are rewarded with joy, happiness, and a sense of being the best version of yourself. Setting boundaries is a way of caring for myself. It doesn't make me mean, selfish, or uncaring just because I don't do things your way. I care about me too. Christine Morgan. Conclusion: being the best version of yourself is not an objective that we can reach overnight. As a human being, we first have to accept that we aren't perfect, and perfection will never be our truth. As you have learned from this book, being the best version of yourself is not about perfection but more about finding your true self. The true self can only be found when we choose to remove the mask that we've been wearing for a long time. That mask comes with behaviors and wounds that only time and hard work can heal. Don't be afraid to face your shadows and bring to light the aspect of yourself that needs to heal. Never forget that human was never meant to be alone and do things on their own. We are social creatures that require a community to thrive. Don't hesitate to seek help from experts or build a support network on encouraging and motivating you to grow. Every month, try to redo the assessment that is located in Chapter 1. It will be a great way to identify if you are getting closer to being the best version of yourself. That assessment will also help you determine which area still needs more work and why not make a goal out of it. No matter what, you got this and embrace the best version of yourself today.